So we interviewed about 110 kids around the world to get a sense of what they wanted the future to be. So it wasn't just my version of the future, it was a consultation with kids that were going to inherit the world in 2040. 2040 is a letter to my daughter, showing her what the world would look like in 2040 if we put into practice the best solutions that exist today. Probably a few years ago, like many parents, felt completely overwhelmed by the state of the planet and the predictions of the future that we were leaving for our kids, and felt pretty hopeless and didn't know what to do about it. And so just started to see if there were things we could do about it. We spent 8 months researching, so I had a researcher myself, Roz was her name, and the two of us just really did a deep dive looking at what solutions did exist, how plausible they were, and in particular what were the cascading benefits of that solution. So it wasn't just a silver bullet, and then thought, well, there's probably room to tell a different story, and let's actually start balancing all the negativity and the dystopian versions of the future with some more hopeful and optimistic and positive ones. And then really I started to just work out what the story device would be. How do I tell this story? Because it can be very dry and academic in a lot of ways. The science, sometimes the way we get it communicated to us is hard to connect with. How do we actually connect this at a human level? So it started to emerge that it would be a letter to my daughter and that I'd be able to show her what the future would look like. Went around to 14 different countries and started just filming the different solutions that existed. And we also had a crew of about 25 people for a week in Melbourne where we shot all the scenes in the future. So we cast my daughter, Velvet, in the future, an actress named Eva Lazaro who did a sensational job, and we shot all her scenes. We built driverless cars in a green screen studio, we built these wind turbines. We just really had fun. In terms of using the graphics and the CG, I mean, first the visioning was really important, so those graphics had to be really good, because if you're going to posit a different version of the future, it's got to feel believable and feel like it's a place that people want to be. We used animations to really clearly illustrate what's going on, and also just some of these concepts which are quite new to people. They can be hard to explain sometimes, and I think if you can use graphics in a clever way and an accessible and in a fun way, you can make that a clever part of the film and an engaging part of the film.
So what we do is we interconnect solar home systems and we enable energy sharing between them, which is basically trading, and the customer chooses when they want to trade and when they don't.
I learnt so many things in making the Sugar film. It was my first film, so it was just an absolute crash course in how to fund a film and get it together, how to write a script, how to shoot it. I think in the release of it and doing the Q&As and getting that sense of what cinema can be in terms of a community event and a shared viewing experience. You know, we've done this big Q&A tour at the moment. It's the same, feeling 250 people get fired up about the planet and the future and what we're doing for our kids. We sort of want to come together and have these conversations, and cinema, I think, provides one of the last really great ways of actually bringing people together, you know, and sitting in a room with each other and sharing an experience, and I think that's never going to go away. One of the best screenings we've had so far is we opened in the Berlin Film Festival, and one of the screenings was for about 600 12 to 18-year-olds, and it was just like a rock concert. They were just hooting and hollering and cheering, and it was just such a beautiful reception. That was the first time I thought, wow, this can connect overseas. It doesn't have to be an Australian film. And it's the same, all the screenings are full of kids now, and you know, they are so proactive, these kids at the moment, right around the world. We had such a good experience with Madman with that Sugar film. You know, you can do a bit of advertising a few days before the film opens, hope that it connects on the first weekend, and that's that. But they were really open to us trying different things. I think we ended up doing 76 Q&As around the country with that Sugar film. And I guess we've done a similar approach with 2040. I think these days, you know, it's not enough just to make a documentary. I think we've seen the last 5 years this explosion of these social impact campaigns, and I feel very lucky that we were part of Good Pitch here in Australia, which is run by the Shark Island Institute, and we had the Sugar film was there, and we were put together with a room full of philanthropists at the Opera House who really gave us money to develop that outreach strategy and get us into schools, develop an app, all sorts of things that you wouldn't normally do with a film. And the same thing happened for 2040, but just, you know, on steroids. We just had an incredible amount of support. It becomes a campaign in a sense. You're not just releasing a film, but you're utilising all these other networks. There's so many people that have aligned with this film that gives it a real chance of getting out there and making a difference.
With less global consumption of meat, aided by some pretty convincing substitutes, we could see many feedlots close down and animals return to the land for use in regenerative farming.
So the key message of 2040, I think, is to instill hope in people and remind them that there are wonderful solutions that are available, and there are really special humans that do deeply care about what's going on at the moment, and they're getting on with it. When you look beyond that centre stage where all the spotlight is focused on, which is our mainstream media narrative, when you go into the shadows, that's where the magic's happening, because that's where the flurry of activity is, where people are really getting on with these things. And I want the film to remind people that those people exist, and they really care, and that they can get involved with that. We feel pretty blessed that the film is going to open on almost 100 screens on May the 23rd, which is, so great for an Australian documentary. This is the moment. We all have to get involved. We all have to step up. Our leaders aren't doing it for us. We all need to be the leaders. It's so crucial to remind ourselves that we can do it, and to remind our children that we can do it.